Hello and welcome to the Team Meta College Conference Spring Showdown. Orange corner as red. Oh my goodness, watching it as it...
Being like a void space for community building.
Now you can see these freshmen and sophomores that have not had that interaction at all, been completely online because of COVID.
He's gonna go, oh my gosh, Osaka!
Hi, welcome back to Age of Coronavirus College Edition. We're here with Roland Tiviage. He is a esports player for Rocket League at Mitchell College. How you doing today, Roland?
Great, how are you?
Good. Tell us more about college esports. I feel like we're just a little bit not so knowledgeable into this series of sports. So tell us more about it.
It's been an awesome time. Personally, we didn't have a lot of experience with it at our school. We kind of just got into it. A couple years ago, I was at a conference for the Student Athlete Advisory Committee, and we were talking with the president of Becker College, and they had begun to introduce an esports program into their school and allowing people to come and get scholarships there and everything like that. And so that was the first time I ever heard of it. And then recently this year, they devised a esports league for the NECC, which is the conference we're in. And so when I realized that our school was getting an option and a chance to play in that league, I decided, oh, it's awesome. Like, I'm going to throw my hat in the ring and I'll join it up. And especially with coronavirus, as you said, it's been a little bit tough to get some of that competitive sports playing and competitive stuff going on right now. So it's been really cool to see like just how wide the world of esports is. And we're playing teams from across the country just sitting at my house.
How long ago did Mitchell College implement this program?
I believe the first introduction to the esports league came in the fall. I don't know if we had any actual competitors in the fall, but I believe our first conference introduction was in the fall, and then our first real team has been the Rocket League team now in the spring. So it's been a little under an actual full year, but for almost a full school year.
You're not just an esports player; you're also an athletics baseball player. Is that correct?
Yes, I play for the Mitchell baseball team. We're practicing right now in the spring, and we're about to get going, hopefully next week and a half or so.
That's amazing. And you also won Pitcher of the Year award.
Yeah, for the conference, the NECC. Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, it was my sophomore year, so the year before coronavirus all hit, and it was just an awesome year with a great group of guys, and I managed to really show my stuff. And unfortunately, we didn't win the championship, but it was awesome to kind of see that accolade come through and kind of show a little bit more of that hard work that I've been putting through and seeing the reward for that. We played our first 8 games, I believe, down in Florida before the lockdown hit. And then the lockdown hit, and it was basically all stagnant, no baseball until late summer. We were able to play a couple of around the area games just for a couple of men's leagues and stuff, just to keep the arms moving and keep the bodies in shape. And then when we got back to school in the fall, we were allowed to practice, but it was under the COVID restrictions and in different pods and different groups. And now we've actually been able to, after a 2-week lockdown and a 2-week pod practice, we've been able to kind of practice full team recently. So it's been kind of cool.
Well, that's the fortunate part about esports, is that you don't really need to be there physically. How are you implementing the post-COVID world with your practice in esports, especially on the Rocket League team?
It's been really, really good, just because of the fact that for me, I wasn't a huge Discord user or anything like that up until midway through the lockdown or so. I managed to get a PC. And so it's been really different to be able to have Discord and be able to have these different abilities to communicate and kind of see everything. And now all the classes are on Zoom and everything for school. So it's been really cool to be able to have a lot more of this interaction through tech rather than having to actually see people in person. Because we all love social interaction, but with the times we have now, it's awesome to be able to almost feel like you're emulating that social interaction, but through the technology we have today.
Well, especially when a lot of us kind of grew up doing that social interaction online. So we kind of have it a little bit built in our systems, but some people are still behind. Do you feel fortunate to be in a time where you had that background and had that experience? Yeah,
of course. It's been really cool to see just how everything's changed. Because for me, a lot of the times when I was younger and even all the way up through high school and beginning of college, there's been social interactions, just going out with friends or going to be able to do this stuff without having to worry about anything. And then now you can see these freshmen and sophomores that have not had that interaction at all during college. They've just been completely online because of COVID. And yeah, I feel almost bad for them because they didn't, I feel like they're kind of almost like getting cut that social interaction, but that's why it's awesome because Zoom and Discord and stuff has been allowing people to just kind of implement and like get a bunch of social interaction, but just through technology in like a safer way. That's where video call also comes into play and is awesome because with phone call and just audio, you just feel like you're talking on the phone and you just feel like it's not actually like an interaction. But when you have a video call and you can actually kind of see each other face to face, it's a lot better and it makes you feel almost more like you're just interacting with someone in person. So I definitely think that technology will advance like a little bit further with that as well.
How was the practicing involved with video calls?
So for right now, we've been doing a lot of Discord practices. So we have our own server, we have our own text channel as well as voice channel. And so usually for practicing games, we'll hop in the voice channel all together. And for practices, our coach will usually share his screen. And so if we have any like strategy or any moves he wants us to implement or practice, like he can run us through them from his screen. We can watch his live screen just through Discord alone. So it's awesome because we get to see what he wants us to do and how he implements it while like being able to watch it while we can do it at the same time. Especially just like I have a 2-monitor setup, so I can put him on one monitor with my voice call and be able to like interact with them and talk with them while I'm actually practicing and doing the stuff at the same time. So it's been really awesome.
Yeah, when it comes to esports and athletic sports, what are the similarities? And then what are the main big differences?
I think a lot of the similarities are that it's just as much of a team built kind of sport as it is like anything else in like a normal sport. So like with baseball and Rocket League, there's both like that teamwork you need to have, and you need to have that communication. You need to be on the same level. And I guess you could compare it better to like real soccer, like with the way you need to like be able to move and pass the same way. But it's been really cool to see how you have to plan out strategies, and even being able to pass is something that's like that's above maybe the normal level of players. But then there's differences in the way that I'm sitting at home in my room by myself, but I'm really able to connect with all my teammates while playing at the same time. And it's a little bit easier because I don't have to get dressed and go drive to campus to go practice Rocket League. I can sit here 5 feet away from my bed with whatever I want on. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel as almost like as strenuous to like go to or to do.
Roland, tell us more about your backstory with video games. How did you get involved? Did you start young?
I did, yeah. I started young, usually with a little bit of Nintendo. I was a big Game Boy fan, big Pokemon fan back in the day. So I started with that, and then I moved my way up to like a PS2. Started playing on the PS2 a decent amount, and then I actually switched over to 360 about during high school times for Xbox. And that was where like my real boom for gaming took off. That was when Modern Warfare 2 was big. That was when GTA started to come out, and that was when all these big like online games you could actually play with friends came out. And so sunk a lot of hours in there. And then I moved up to the PS4.
What do you like to play on PS4?
PS4, I started out as a big sports game guy. So like I was a big Rocket League fan. I was a big MLB The Show fan. I was a big 2K fan. So that was a lot of like what I was playing at the time, and a lot of what I was enjoying and sinking hours into. But now that I've moved on to PC, I've actually kind of like just switched it up a little bit and been playing a couple more just different style games. Like I've been recently addicted to open world like survival games, like this new game that came out called Valheim. So that's been a lot of fun to play, but as well as Rocket League now. Yeah.
What is it about Rocket League that keeps you coming back?
I think it's the same thing that keeps me coming back to baseball, and the same thing that keeps any athlete coming back to any sport. It's the competitive nature. It's the ranked features. It's the fact that it's a simple premise in the way that it's soccer with cars, but it's also you require a lot of skill to be able to play at a decent level. So it's kind of cool to be able to learn different skills and see those skills kind of flourish and see those skills kind of reward you with those ranks. And it's been awesome to be able to play on an actual team now, because you play as much as you want by yourself, but it's so much better to be able to implement strategy and different decision-making skills with a team.
What's one skill that you've learned in Rocket League that you wouldn't mind sharing?
Well, we implement we've been implementing a little bit more of a defensive rotation. So it's cool because when you're playing like solo queuing and you're not like with a team, you kind of like you play defense based on just kind of like guessing where your teammates are going to be. But with the defensive rotations, it's a lot better because you can communicate and you can know where your teammates are at all times in order to play a better defense. So that's been one thing I've loved is like being able to communicate better and also learning how to rotate and play proper defense and be a little bit better on the rotations like that.
When does the offensive play come in? So I know it is important to have a really strong defense, but at some point you do have to kind of make that switch.
Yeah, and that's been a big thing to learn as well. We've had a couple of great coaches that are helping us, and so like we're trying to like orient our defense to create offense. So like a lot of times we'll try to work our way to where we can provide a clearance or something like that, where we'll get the ball out of our zone quickly and kind of try to properly score on them like real fast out of the good defense. So like I think that defense kind of wins championships. So if we can provide proper defense, it'll allow us to kind of open holes in them and kind of provide better offense.
Are there other esports opportunities at Mitchell College other than Rocket League that you could be playing?
I believe that we have right now we're working on Smash Bros. I think there's a Smash Bros. League right now that is going on. So I know I have a friend that's playing in that, and it's more of a solo 1v1 with like 3 stock. And so I know that's going on, and I know they're trying to work on a couple other things, but I don't know if we have a lot of I don't know if we have enough to field a team yet for any of those leagues yet.
Well, hopefully you do, because Rocket League's fun, but Super Smash Brothers is forever.
True.
All right, Roland. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you very much for having me.
Welcome back to the show. We have Trayson Glenn joining us today. He is a junior at Ole Miss, and he's also a coach for the Rocket League team at Mitchell College. How you doing today, Trayson?
Doing very well. How about yourself?
Doing very well as well. Why don't you give us a little more of a background? And is this your first coaching experience?
Yes. So officially, yes. I've played esports with Ole Miss for a few years now, and I helped some of our other guys. So I would coach them up. People were coming in. I try to get them up to a higher level. But this is my first official position helping with outside of Ole Miss.
Well, we actually had Roland joining us earlier today. And tell us how you like to work with Roland.
So I really enjoy working with Roland. He's a real go-getter. He's a very good listener. And half of the time, he makes it very easy for me, where I can just like say his name and he'll already be thinking about like what I'm about to say. And he'll kind of make that connection before I even have to point it out. And he's been just an absolute pleasure to work with.
So how do you coordinate everybody, especially in a pandemic that we have right now? How do you bring everybody together?
The group I work with obviously all goes to the same college, so they've known each other prior. So they're easy to get a hold of because I can just grab one through Discord, and then they can kind of ping off each other. But mainly Discord and online applications have been a lifesaver during the whole pandemic.
What are the particular challenges that you have as a coach compared to what it's like just being a team member?
So you really have to change your perspective. As a player, you really just have to kind of focus on what you're doing and not as much on the unit. Of course, being involved with the team and understanding what's going on is very important. But as a coach, you're really kind of having to get the whole mindset for a whole group of people up to the same level of each other. Because not only do you have to just worry about one player, you have to worry about 3 or 4 or 5 and making sure they're all understanding not only what they need to be doing, but also looking out for what their teammates need to be doing.
Well, it's almost like trying to figure out where the puzzle pieces match up.
Exactly. And that's the hardest part, starting out with any new program, is just making sure all the pieces are intertwined already and then getting them to recognize that, and so they know what to expect moving forward. So with Rocket League, a big part of the game is just the overall flow. Who can work well with who, such as chemistry. Chemistry would be the term for soccer, just how well a group of people vibe together and work together. And that's a big factor, is just some people are just naturally better with others, regardless of like if one player's slightly worse, it's better to put them in because the other two seem to work better with them.
Now, do you try to match up people with drills to try to see which ones match up the best?
Yeah, so we ran a few showcases, I guess you could call, just to kind of feel where everyone's at. And for sure, everyone has different strengths and weaknesses, and that really makes it kind of difficult to get them all flowing at the same pace. But as a whole, a big part is just getting them to listen, and they've done a very good job listening.
How do you feel the pandemic has created more interest or less interest in college esports? Have you noticed any differences?
For sure. I can actually speak to two sides of that. As a spectator and now a coach, it's really picked up my interest, and the pandemic hasn't slowed it down very much, as esports traditionally has always been online. So it hasn't been hindered by like any of the COVID restrictions or anything like that.
Right.
So I've been able to start working with Mitchell College, and that's kept me very involved. However, as a player, it made it a little less fun, you could say, because with Ole Miss, we used to travel to events. We used to go compete at colleges, campuses, and that all kind of stopped. So it's kind of got a little bit of give and take.
Mm-hmm.
But I think as a whole, esports as a whole has really benefited, because a lot of the sporting events were canceled early last year, back in March, and people were looking for something to kind of fill that gap, and I think esports really kind of stepped up into it.
Well, give us more of a history of how you got interested in becoming a coach.
So it was actually kind of a funny story. As I mentioned, I played for Ole Miss. I stepped down this semester just to kind of focus on school, and I was expressing that to Team Meta, the organization, was like, "Hey, I'm not the guy to contact like for Ole Miss playing in the league this year." And I passed him on. He just reached out. He's like, "Hey, like I saw how you did last year. Would you have any interest in coaching with another team we had?" I was like, "Of course. Like I already know a lot of this stuff. I'd love to kind of help out someone else get going." So I wouldn't say I ever was dead set on doing it. I just more so fell into it, and I've just kind of fallen in love with it as I've gone. So one of the major challenges is I'm just the in-game coach. We have another guy out of the University of Alabama who kind of helps with like a lesson plan almost, who explains kind of like a whiteboard lesson style almost. But in-game is when it's my turn to kind of be in the ear of these guys as they're playing. And it's difficult because there's only so much you can do. You know, I can't play for them, and I can only make so many adjustments like mid-match. So as far as learning experience goes, is I had to have changed my verbiage actually, because there's a different set of like language, I guess, from team to team. So I've had to like kind of slow down when I'm talking and kind of explain out each term I mean, which is just kind of different and something I'd never thought of before. But once we got that out of the way, it's been easy sailing.
So certain people on the team have a way of saying things together, and then you have to kind of adopt that into your own language?
Yeah, so just talking with the other coach from the University of Alabama, who was also a player for them for a while, we have like two separate terms that'll mean the exact same thing, but it's just how our team said it quickly. Because Rocket League's all about pace, and you want to get you want to compress a sentence into as few words as possible, you know, so you're not constantly like, because of how quick it is. If you can say it in one word while the play's still happening, people can understand it. But if you have to spell it out, say the whole sentence, it's already gone and happened. So we've had to kind of, both of us, we've talked about it, we've had to kind of slow it down and kind of explain what each word means. And then we together had to get collectively on the same page as well. Where
do you see the future of esports in colleges? Are there going to be like lots of other games, not just a couple or a few?
So as far as esports as a whole in college, I do think for sure it is on the rise. I'm actually kind of surprised, like, the SEC or the NCAA hasn't set up some kind of regulations for it yet.
What kind of regulations would they need to do for esports?
Well, personally, I'm a fan of, like, you know, no regulations. But compared to other athletics, for collegiate esports, we can play in tournaments and we get to keep the prize winnings, which is kind of interesting. There's not an equivalent to that in traditional sports such as football or baseball. If they go to play a tournament, they're not, like, getting money back off of it. You know, so it's kind of a gray area and kind of interesting. So that would be something I'd see in the future. They would kind of touch or change in some way. Although, you know, as for now, I'm perfectly happy that they haven't.
How have you personally handled the pandemic? What have you learned through that process?
So the things I've learned, obviously when you're very involved with esports, the stereotype is, you don't leave your house too much, you play games. And for me, honestly, I won't lie, that's kind of been true. Like I haven't felt it too much as far as like the regulations, because most of the stuff I did like wasn't affected. However, one of the big things is it's very odd to see someone not wearing a mask anymore in public. As little and like tedious of a detail that is, like it's a very strange thing. But as far as hanging out with friends, like that's all changed as well, because everyone I know is very precautious, and Ole Miss is trying not to mess around with it at all. So I feel very bad for the incoming students, like that this is all they know. Like there wasn't a before COVID college experience, I guess.
It's definitely changed the way we interact with each other. And in some ways, I feel like, it's a little bit detrimental, because most people only ever had the other experience, which is very connected, very close in proximity. And I think those are the people that hit the hardest, because the transition was so fast. There wasn't really a very gradual way to get there.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like for when you and I would have been going into college, if going from high school would be relatively similar. You have your classes, you go sit down at your desk, take your notes and whatnot. But for the gap of high school seniors that came in last year, going from strictly in person to almost strictly online, that's a very wide gap to try to cross. And I've heard of several people kind of having issues with it and having a difficult time. And I can't blame them.
What would be one of the big issues that you've heard?
Mainly just how different learning is for, a college education. Transitioning out of the classroom and moving to online that's kind of a hard task, honestly, because it's much more difficult to keep yourself on schedule. Everything, you have to do it now. There's no one in front of you at any point of the day or the week even telling you, hey, we've got a test coming up in a week. Hey, you should, there's no reminders at all anymore.
Oh,
for anything.
Right.
And some professors have done emails, which is super nice, but not all of them do. And a lot of them are trying to adapt at the same time as us. They've done an in-person class for the last 20 years. Now they have to change it to online like that. So they're struggling as well. So there's just several breakdowns that make it difficult for almost everyone.
Right. That's another question I have. The teaching aspect of it. What are the disadvantages and the advantages that you've seen so far with the teachers?
So this semester, all of my classes are online, every single one. I have some professors that'll do like whole video recorded lectures almost, like covering every single chapter, like exactly as it would have been, just, it's pre-recorded now. And that's been super nice, because the advantage to that is now I can pause and rewind if there was a part I missed. If I didn't hear it the first time, if I wasn't sure what they were saying, I can go back a couple of minutes. And then there's others who haven't figured that out or didn't have the time or the resources to do the same thing, and just are kind of pushing out like links to the textbook or saying, read this chapter, then take a quiz, so there's a very large gap in how teachers are handling it from one case to the other.